Oversized. Ashley James and Nick Ferrari are joining us to go through today's top headlines. So lovely to see you both. Hello, Ash. Not seen you for ages. So nice to see you.
You get to hang out with us.
I know, that's true, actually. Of course, I'd never change it.
It's a goodie.
What are we talking about, Jose?
Right, OK, well, this is a big one, actually, because the fertility rate in England and Wales dropped to a record low in 2024. And now experts are worried about Britain's ageing population and the future of the workforce. Now, you know, some people say that there are too many people on the planet, and then some people are for this. Actually, how do we really encourage the younger folk to have more children?
Yeah, so this is really interesting. So basically it's saying that the fertility rate in England and Wales is now 1.41. So that's obviously 1.5 kids per... Is it per adult, I guess?
Well, Carol Vorderman over here might know the answer to that.
Not get involved.
Yeah.
So this is the lowest rate since 1938, and why this is a problem is that Britain's economy, for example, so like primary schools are closing because there's not enough demand, but also a fall in birth rates means that in 20 years' time we'll all have to pay more tax because obviously as the population ages and less people are in work and there's less of a younger workforce, we'll all have to pay more tax to compensate. So what can we do? Well, why I find this really frustrating is we always hear these, like, women are having less children or people are having less children, and I wonder why it is. And it's, well, number one, it is choice, and actually that's a really good point because for the first time in history, we do have choice now. We can go to work, we can buy houses, we can choose to have a child-free life. But also, I think what governments, because it's not just a UK problem, it's actually around the world, what they're failing to understand is they need to make it easy and appealing for people to want and to be able to afford to have children, because the system makes it really difficult.
Very.
Yeah, I mean, we're mums, we know it's so expensive. The cost of childcare is astronomical. If you're lucky enough to be able to afford it, or lucky enough to have parents, grandparents that can help, which remember that they're having to work longer as well, so there's less childcare availability, but also, I don't know your circumstances, but my parents are up in Northumberland, or actually now they're in the Lake District. They can't help me. So there is less of a village, there's less support, and I think the system is still set up for a time where women didn't work. Look at school. My son Alfie starts school next week. I was putting all the holiday dates into the diary and I was like, how on earth am I meant to navigate this? So you have a problem where people who want to stay at home to look after kids can't afford to, and people who want to be able to still have careers are having the impossible juggle, and the expense of it is astronomical. Would I have more kids if I could afford it? I'm quite happy with 2, but if money was no issue, I probably would have had another kid. But between, like, trying to navigate the system that makes it so hard and the cost of it, I wouldn't be able to, not if I wanted to live the life that I want to live.
And Nick, what are your thoughts? Because, again, we've got an ageing population and not enough people being born. How is the economy going to even work?
Josie just finished a long conversation about this here on the radio, and I was struck by how many women in the typical age range we're talking about, which is 27, 28, 29, called me to say that they had no plans to have children. This is in part, as Ashley was saying, there is a degree of a success story here, because as a consultant professor in reproductive medicine told us on the show, this is because women stay in education or want to stay in their careers. And they're able to, and there is now not the same level of discrimination that there was in the workplace, and a young woman can work through and become an older woman in the workplace, and that can quite rightly happen. And we were talking, weren't we, earlier this week, I think, about how there should be more provision for women who are in the menopause. So the workplace has shifted, and that is a success story. But to Ashley's point, you do have to maintain. Now, these figures, it's important to say, the newspapers are taking as saying we're a fertility time bomb. The report also says this is not allowing for migration or immigration. So this is merely what's called the indigenous population, the native population, if you will, giving birth. There is a certain level that you have to have of childbirth to maintain the population so that you have the tax take, so that when, well, I mean, it's around the corner, when Ryland finally reaches retirement age, which is many, many, many years away, many years away, that we've got people to look after Ryland and we've got people to pay taxes. So that is why it is of such concern. But let's look at the success. A lot of women now, and hopefully, Ashley, you can speak better to this, Josie, you can speak better to this, and a lot of the women who phone my show, their girlfriends are not saying, oh, you're not going to have children. They're saying, oh, you're going to go all the way in your career. And I do think we have to see a positive in that.
I think we're seeing as well a lot of people, as time's moved on, a lot of women are choosing to have children older because, like you say, they want they want the world. They want their career, and rightly so.
Geriatric mum.
Which is crazy to even say.
Yeah. Well, when I had Ada, I was 36.
That's crazy.
So I think anyone above 35 is geriatric.
Yeah.
But I would also, by the way, like to call out the Labour government, because I was so hopeful when they came in that things were going to get better, especially with childcare costs. Our nursery fees, and I know I'm not alone, this is a nationwide problem, have gone up 7% in a year. How are we meant to do it? And on top of that, our maternity care is awful. As we all know, the NHS is really struggling to cope, but postnatal care is awful. So many of us, myself included, are left with all these health issues and we're just expected to get on with it. So I just really want to stress that if they need us and want us to have more children, they need to make it appealing, and they're not going to do that by keeping us in a system. And also remember, we've all been brought up being told, don't have kids if you can't afford them.
Yeah.
Well, now people can't afford them. So what are they going to do about it?
And they're not having kids. So what do you do about it? No, I completely make you right, Ash. You make some really, really valid points. I'm sure this is going to rumble on for a fair few weeks. And something else that is definitely rumbling at the moment is Ryanair, because they have increased bonuses for staff who catch passengers with oversized bags. Staff could earn up to €1,000 extra a year by identifying rule-breaking bags. Now, look, I understand there's Nick's laughing already. I know where this is going to go. There are rules, OK, when you go to an airport. Certain airlines have certain rules about size of baggage that can go into the hold, for instance. Nick, we've seen a lot of times, there's been a lot of videos out there, people have put it in there and someone goes, no, it don't fit. It doesn't fit, it's hanging out the top of it, it's doing this. It's quite hard for the passenger who thinks their bag does fit, thinking if you grass me up to say it's slightly too big, you're getting a few euros out of it.
Don't know about you, Rylan. I went to a school where you were never, ever allowed to tittle-tattle or tell tales or whatever, and we were encouraged not to. So there's going from the size of families to the size of your bags when you get on Ryanair, and you're right, their staff now can earn up to, I think it's €2.50. It's gone up from €1.50 to €2.50 if they successfully stop someone. Look, I know there are rules, and normally I'm a great one for applying rules, but if it is a couple of centimetres over and it doesn't quite crush into that tiny, almost shopping bag size thing, does it really matter that much? Although there would be, there we are, there's a classic example. There are others who would say, oh, but you know what it is. All I would say about Ryanair, and I've said this on the radio, so I have no problem saying it on television. I'm not a massive fan. I choose not trying to. But is it really low cost? Because by the time you've added on the extra baggage because you didn't realise that you couldn't take your overcoat or whatever else it might be, sometimes you might actually look at the cost that they've racked up and think, I could have gone with a more traditional carrier.
Yeah, I mean, I have also issue with Ryanair, and like you say, a lot of people, I think we all see it when we're at an airport, that some people really are taking the mickey. Yeah. They try to get everything in there, kitchen scissors, they've got all of it, and you're like, how did you think that you were going to get that on your hand luggage? But a lot of people, especially people with young kids, they need so much stuff, and when it's, like, as you said, just a couple of centimetres over, the amount of times I've been at an airport and I've really relied on the kindness of the staff, whether it was the first time travelling with my son and I had to get Calpol and stuff in the airport, so I ended up with an extra bag. There's so many times my journey has been made so much better by people at the desk. Sorry, I was like, what is that word? No. People at the desk who are like, oh, you are a couple over, but don't worry. And I think the fact that they're incentivising people to almost snitch so that the company can make a little bit more money, especially because they're making, is it €2.50
per bag.
Like, I'd give them a fiver just to make it that little bit better.
Go, listen,
exactly.
Here's a fiver, let me bag on.
And they are ruining people's holidays. I remember going on a flight once. I had a little bag and I had a handbag, and I forgot to put the handbag in the little bag. I said, "Oh, just wait there a minute. I'm going to put the handbag in the little bag." They went, "No. They charged me €50. €50 because I forgot to put it in the little bag. I thought, this has actually ruined my holiday.
I think sometimes you don't know the reason why people are flying as well. So people might be really scared of flying or going to funerals or whatever it is they might be doing, flying with young kids for the first time, flying with young kids on their own, maybe elderly with lots of medicine. I just think compassion goes such a long way.
Michael O'Leary, who obviously runs Ryanair, said the number of people paying fees was going down, actually, as more brought on compliant cases. We're not trying to catch people out here. Most people, and I mean 99.9% of our passengers, comply with the rules. the amount of people who pay a gate bag fee is less than 0.1% of our passengers. So, look...
I feel like these cash incentives make it a computer says no, and I do think there should be human compassion on literally case-by-case basis.
I hope there still is. I really do hope there still is.
And talking of holidays, it moves us on to our next story. We've got sunbed snore wars, OK? So are tourists going too far to secure the perfect sunspot? Have a look at some of this footage, because these guys are camping out all night long to secure their spot. Now, I just think they've had a few drinks and fallen asleep on the sunbed, but apparently these are camping out to secure their sunbed for the next day. Are you one? I don't think you are one of those, Ash, but are you one of those people?
I'm sorry to say, but I think this is the worst of humanity.
Oh, God.
Honestly, I think this is so bad. I do have, like, empathy for the fact that it is quite frustrating if, for example, that hotels are maybe over capacity or there's only maybe poor design where there's, like, one section like this with sun. But why I find it really annoying is because my kids wake up really early, so often we're up 5, 6, we're first to breakfast, and then you go down to the pool and all of the beds are taken and people don't rock up till like 10 or 11 in the morning, and by which point we're probably leaving at that point for the kids to have a nap, to get some lunch. So we could have had it all morning. And I do think that hotels need to be much stricter on doing it on a first come, first served basis, because it's just a really, like, animalistic part of humanity, and it's like that kind of like Lord of the Flies, first come, first serve, and it shouldn't be like that.
I can imagine Nick camping out from 3 a.m. to try and get one of those sunbeds. Nick, is that a you thing?
Was that you on the video, Nick? Come on, come clean.
Yeah, a bit like you, Ryland. You know, my private jet takes me to the villa, and I have... No, I mean, I think we can link all stories together, can't we? Possibly people aren't having more children because they don't want to get fined by an airline when they try and go away on holiday, and when they get to the venue, they want to be able to get a sunbed and not have to find 5 for the entire family. Holidays are meant to be times of relaxation. In many cases, Ashley, probably for you directly, you work like stink. I know you're a very hard-working young woman. I don't know your partner or husband. I'm sure he works hard. You actually want time together as a family because you see so little of each other, and you have this hideous experience when you try and get on the plane and you're being charged because you forgot your ticket or whatever it might be, or the bag is 2 centimetres. And then when you get to the hotel, because they're actually being greedy, they're packing in too many people in a hotel that doesn't support the size of... The pool does not support the size of guests. You don't even get to sit with them, or you sit at the back and you don't get any sunshine, and you worry about the children not getting in the pool. So these are meant to be relaxing times. No wonder staycations are going through the roof.
Nick,
literally, it's like, don't have kids, don't fly, and don't go to hotels.
Nick, I love it when we agree. If we keep it up at this rate, I might be invited to the next wedding.
Just let us live. Just let us live.
Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. Now, we upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.